YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to Stansted Airport in London, England. And welcome to the first flight in a new series that I am going to call a mystery series. And there's a reason that I'm calling it a mystery series. So for those who decide not to watch these introductions, and I get it, I tend to talk a lot, so that's alright. But if you decide not to watch this introduction, then you're going to be short on hints. I am not going to tell you the purpose behind this series. I'm going to give you a couple of hints. I'm going to give you a little bit of information right now. This will be the longest introduction. After this, we won't talk much about the information for the series itself, but the goal here is for you all to guess the purpose behind this series. I know that might sound a little strange, and some of you are probably thinking, I don't want anything to do with that, and that's just fine. And I'd love to do a giveaway. Hello YouTube, Captain Mac of the Future here, and I am interrupting the introduction to this video because I have made a different decision than what I originally recorded. So many of you who pay attention know that I like to put scripture references from the Bible at the beginning of my videos, and that's because my life belongs to Jesus Christ and I'm not ashamed of that in any way, and I like to share that. But I choose those scripture verses when I'm editing the video, not when I'm recording the video. And so as I was adding the scripture verse during the editing process of this video, I read through it several times. It's Proverbs 11:24 that says, "One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give, and only suffers want." Now, originally during this introduction, I had said that I simply didn't have the funds to do an actual giveaway. And as I thought about that, I thought, you know, what I've received from the community has been absolutely amazing over the years. You guys have been so fantastic. I have so many subscribers that are absolutely wonderful, and you guys have been a huge support and a huge just encouragement to me, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to give back to you guys. And so as I was thinking about this, I thought, you know, I can't afford a really expensive giveaway, which would be really cool, but we simply can't. I'm not like some YouTube channels out there that are making millions of dollars. However, we can afford a giveaway, and so I've decided that I'm going to do one. However, in order to do a contest giveaway, it's very important that we have rules for the contest, and so this section of the video here is going to lay out the rules for the contest. So I really hope that you're watching at this point, because you're going to need to follow these rules if you want to win the prize, which will be announced here shortly. But let's start with the contest rules. First of all, you must be an active subscriber to the channel, and you must have been an active subscriber for at least 30 days. Your subscription must be public. So those are the first two contest rules. You must be an active subscriber, you must have been an active subscriber for at least 30 days, and your subscription must be public. Now some of you may think, well, that's a little ridiculous. Actually, it's not. I am going to use my money to do a giveaway, and the purpose of this channel is to reach as many people as possible. And quite honestly, if we ever get enough subscribers, this channel can make enough money where we can do regular giveaways. But we're not there at the moment, and since this is going to be our first giveaway, those are my conditions on your subscription. Now, if you're worried about if you're worried that, oh, if I subscribe today there's no chance, fear not. Believe me, there is. Listen to the rest of the rules, and then we'll carry on. All guesses as to the purpose of this series must have an explanation as to why you believe that is the correct answer. So if you simply put a guess out there, I'm not going to even acknowledge it. That's not to be rude, I just don't want to lead anybody astray. So just placing a guess with no explanation as to why you think that's the right answer, even if it's the right answer, it will not be acknowledged, and therefore you cannot win. You must explain why you believe that is the purpose behind this series. Now these next two are very important. Pay close attention. All guesses must be submitted within 48 hours of video release. Now what this means is, if you're going to make a guess after this first video, that guess must be submitted with an explanation within 48 hours of the public release of this video. Any guesses after 48 hours of the public release of this video will not be acknowledged, and any guesses after the first 48 hours will simply be ignored until the release of the next video, and then your guesses must be in the comment section of that video within 48 hours in order to be considered. Now, if there's any confusion about that, let me just go over it one more time very clearly. When I release video number 1, that's this one, any guesses as to the purpose of this series must have an explanation, and they must be posted in the comments section of this video within 48 hours of the release of this video. After that, your guesses will not even be considered. When I release video number 2, guessing will open again, but all guesses must be placed in the comments section of video number 2, and they must be placed there with an explanation within 48 hours of the release of video number 2. Any guesses after that will not be considered. The contest closes 48 hours after the release of flight number 12. Now, there are 23 flights, possibly a 24th flight in this series. I haven't decided yet, and some of you may think, well, that's not fair. Well, it is fair, and there has to be a point at which the contest comes to an end. And because there are 23 flights, and because I'm not going to release a flight every single day, you might get 1 a week, 2 a week, it depends. It's going to take a long time. That's a long time for folks to really think about this. And so at the conclusion of 48 hours after the release of video number 12, the contest will close. If nobody won, then we'll try it again in the future. Okay, since I can't determine whether or not you gave a thumbs up, I'm just going to ask that you give the video a like along with your guess, because the more likes we get on the videos, the higher up it goes on the search in the YouTube algorithm. Okay, moving on now. The winner, whoever wins, and somebody's going to win, I have no doubt about that. Whoever wins must agree to having their YouTube name made publicly announced on my channel and in a public comment that announces their success in the contest. If you don't want me saying your name publicly on my channel, or you don't want your name being publicly announced in probably the community section of my channel, then you're not eligible for this contest. Even if you win it and then you tell me no, well, unfortunately, then you're not going to receive the prize. The winner must also agree to respond to the public announcement comment, certifying that we have communicated after their winning and verifying that they received the prize for winning the contest. Now, this is really important to me because it speaks to my integrity. I don't know about other channels doing giveaways, whether or not they're always doing, whether or not anybody does anything shady, but that's not going to be me. And just so that nobody can question it, I require the winner to publicly announce that indeed they did receive the prize that was promised. Now, with that said, the prize for the contest is a copy of the PMDG 737 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or another flight simulation add-on or add-ons that is or are equivalent in monetary values. So presently, as of the recording of this, the PMDG 737 is on sale, I think, for $70, but normally it's $75. Now, if it goes over $75, and that's what you want is the PMDG 737, you'll get it. But if it goes over $75 and you already have it, we're not going to go over $75 in other add-ons. So it's going to be limited to $75 in monetary value. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now, this is important. If you win and choose an add-on or add-ons that are lesser in monetary value than the PMDG 737, so if you already have it and you say, I want to do A, B, and C add-ons, if those ultimately cost less than the PMDG 737, the remaining monetary value is not going to be awarded in cash. So if you choose, say, 3 different add-ons that come to $50, I'm not going to send you the other $25. I will do the 3 add-ons at $50, but I'm not going over $75, and I'm not sending cash to make up the monetary difference. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So with all of those rules in mind, and those rules are going to be posted down in the description of the video as well, relatively briefly, without my long-winded typical style, so be sure to read them down there. And I wish you all the best of luck. I don't think we're going to get past maybe flight number 3 before somebody guesses it. If we do, I'll be quite surprised. If we make it all the way to flight number 12 and it doesn't get guessed, I'll honestly be shocked. And I will say, if we get past flight number 12 and 48 hours has expired and we still do not have a correct guess that meets the criteria of the rules, then I will tell you all the purpose of this series. So with all of that in mind, let's get back to the video. So with that in mind, let me give you a little bit of information, and it's going to be very little information, to sort of start you on your way into determining what this series is all about. First of all, it's not about cargo, although we will be flying cargo aircraft during the entire series. With that in mind, of course, we're going to fly the 787, and I don't think there's a 787 cargo variant. So we're just going to assume that it's cargo, and we're going to go with it. Some of the flights are relatively short, such as our flight today, which I'll introduce here shortly. And some of our flights are extremely long. The reason is because each location is specific to the purpose of the series. And they are... and keep in mind now, I don't script anything, so I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this without giving it away. Every single location is specific to the reason behind the series, and the order in which we fly to those locations is specific to the reason behind the series. It doesn't have anything to do with the cargo. It doesn't have anything to do with passengers. The locations are not always right where the purpose for the series would be. They're as close as I can get. Those are all your hints save for one. I'm going to give you one more hint. The flight number for every single flight in this series is a date, and it's a date that is specific to the reason that I'm doing this series. It's the flight numbers are all 4-digit flight numbers, so it's a 4-digit date, 2-digit month, 2-digit day. So today's flight is flight 0223. You can work that out for yourself. So with all of that said, welcome to our first flight in the series. We're going to be flying today from Stansted Airport in London, England to Lebl, which is in Barcelona, Spain. It's not an extremely long flight. It's pushing close to 700 nautical miles, and we're going to fly it in the Salty Sim 747. And the next flight will depart from there, and when we get to that one, I'll tell you where it's going. So without further ado, let's climb up in the office and get to work. Alrighty folks, we've got some power on the aircraft, and the IRS alignment is in progress. Let's take a quick look at our flight plan for the day, or the night as it is. Click on the operational flight plan here. I have not done fuel and payload yet. I'll do those here momentarily. But we are departing from Stansted, and we are flying to, however you say that, El Prat. That's where we're going. It's Lebl is the ICAO code. Air distance about 687 nautical miles. We are estimated at 703,541 pounds for takeoff, and landing at 668,742 pounds. And block fuel is 66,021. I'm going to probably add just a skosh more, maybe 5,000 to 10,000 pounds more than that. We'll see. I'll make that decision on the fly. And our route for the day is Egss. I'm not sure if we should be on this departure, but I'm not positive of the runway yet. I haven't pulled the ATIS, so I'll pull that here in a little bit. We'll verify the runway. It should be the Nugbo 1R departure out to Nugbo, and we'll brief that when the time becomes appropriate. Only 4 packs on board. That's because we're in a cargo aircraft. I have to take a drink of something. Hold on. I'm actually trying to not cough in your face here. 204,200 pounds of cargo, total payload 204,900 pounds, zero fuel weight 639,500 pounds. Like I said, a little more than 66,000 pounds of fuel. We're going to just add a little bit in there. Coughing in your face anyway. Takeoff weight 703,500 pounds, might be just a little bit more, but we should be good to go. So I'm going to pull my load sheet up here. move this over to the side here. And because we're only on ground power right now, so let me jump down here to the FMC and let's go to our salty page and take care of our load here real quick. If I can get my act together here. Where's it at? Salty options, sim brief. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Where's my payload option? Am I missing something here? Ruh-roh. Okay, so I've kind of gotten used to the salty mod in the Trip 7 and the work they've done with the guys who are doing the 787 heavy mod, and so I guess it's a little different here in the 748. You don't do the payload the same way. So after playing around with it for a couple minutes, we're good to go. I just changed my zero fuel weight and I used this guy to do my fuel. So our fuel's at 71,607 pounds. Payload is going to be off a little bit because I just input the zero fuel weight, so I'll show you that here in a minute. So let's go position initialization. We've already done that. Obviously that's for the Aorous alignment. Oh, excuse me, a little hiccup there. And then I've already got the route in there, just so you know. I just haven't done departure and arrival. So performance initialization, zero fuel weight, I put it at 639.5, which is pretty much where we're at. And then the fuel, I got it about as close as I could, and that's about where I was probably going to end up anyway. So 71,600 pounds of fuel. I don't want to request. Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to send a request. Let's just see. That puts the reserves at. Let's see if it changes my fuel or anything. Except that it didn't change my fuel. It just put in my reserves. Cost index at 165. So we'll leave that there. Flight level 240. I'm good with that. And clear that out. It does this. I've noticed the salty mods do this. When you clear off a message, whatever the last thing you typed in is, it shows up in the scratch pad again. Let's go to thrust limit. We're going to just do max. So this is the so it's got the oh, my brain doesn't want to work right now. This is a D rate is what it is. That's why it says N1 at 85%. If we put that at 17, it should put the N1 even, but it doesn't change it. It doesn't do anything. So we may not be able to use the toga for takeoff because I think we're going to need full thrust. Not 100% sure. We'll take a look at it. It is going to be flaps 20 because we are pretty heavy, and it looks like it's going to fly us really slow out of here. Center of gravity looks good. It does not give me my elevator position, my trim. So we'll just have to suck it up. V1 at 118, rotate at 133, V2 at 153, and we're looking at, let me just double check here, we're looking at 10,000 feet of runway, so we may actually be good at 85%. I guess we're going to find out probably the hard way. So that takes care of that. Let's do our departure and arrival real quick. This might actually make us redo our V-speeds now that I think about it. I did not pull the ATIS yet. 127.180, let's take a listen. 127.180, and then we'll flip those. Let's hear what they say.
Stansted Airport Information Whiskey 01000 Zulu. Wind tree 00 at 15. Visibility 6. Sky condition 2,000 feet scattered ceiling, 5,000 feet broken. Temperature 17. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.24. ILS runway 22 in use. Landing and departing runway 22.
Alright, that is really high pressure. So it's going to be runway 22 for us. So we'll put her on 22, and then it's the Nugbo 1R, which is this guy right here. Out the Nugbo, execute that. Take a look at our legs, make sure there's no discontinuities. It's out the Nugbo without any issues. And then on course from there. Fantastic. So that takes care of that. That takes care of setting up the FMC. I'll be back momentarily. We'll finish getting the aircraft prepped, pushed, and get ready to rock and roll. Alrighty, a little bit more work to do here. Let's go ahead and hop up to the overhead. I'm going to fire up the APU, and by the time we're done, we should be ready to go with that thing as well. Back down here. Let's see, altitude restrictions. Yeah, we've got a 4,000 foot altitude restriction out the Nugbo. So let's just put this at 4,000 feet to start with, and then I'll have to keep an eye on it. Come on down. There we go, 4,000 feet. Transition altitude is 6,000 feet, so we're going to be hanging where we're at for a little while. What did we say it was? 3024 on the altimeter. That's definitely high pressure. Keep on scrolling. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. 3024 on the altimeter there. That looks fantastic. And what was our takeoff speed? Initial reference. Move out of the way here, you. Take off. There we go. V2's 153, so we're going to put this at 163. Can I click and drag? I can. Just makes it a little bit easier. There we go, 163. Flight directors, they both come on at the same time. LNAV, VNAV can both be armed at this point. APU is up and running, so let's switch over to APU power here. Gen 1, Gen 2. Leave that guy running. We can turn these guys off now. Okay, let's get these fuel pumps on. I don't think we need the center pumps. I think we just need all the main pumps. We'll find out for sure here in just a second, because I'll obviously need to double check that. What else we got here? Nav lights can go on. Beacon I'm going to put on both. I'm going to put nav lights on. And the rest of the lights can stay off for the moment. What else we got here? Everything else is auto. A lot of this stuff you can't click on it anyway. Packs are good. Engine bleeds all need to come on. And that's pretty much the gist of it there. So let's take a look at our checklist, if I can find the right page here. Okay, FMC setup is complete. Fuel pumps are on. Yeah, because I'm in the wrong part of the checklist. It said off. You know what I'm going to do just to add so that nobody forgets. For your benefit, why is that point that way? That's a weird way to look. I am also going to make the squawk code the date 0223. So that is your reminder for your hint. That's all you get. I'm not giving you anything else. That's it. Alright, so we're ready for engine start. There is no gangway out there. The doors are closed. We don't need to request pushback. Beacon light is on. Hydraulic demand pump switches, we can't do anything with them in this one right now. Packs we can't do anything with. Bleed air switches are on. We open the engines page on the Egss. Where you at? Engines right there. I think I already had it open, didn't I? Yep, I sure did. There's the engines page, ready to rock and roll. And so we just need to set up our pushback itself. So let's do that real quick with our pushback toolbar. I think I might have mentioned this before to you guys. When you're doing the pushback with this thing, don't zoom it out. If you zoom it out, your little airplane here is going to disappear, and then you're going to be one sad panda. So yeah, so we'll pull out to this guy right here. We don't need to go very far. Bam, hit enter. Pushback is ready, and let's request it.
cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
They always say stand by at first. Everything else ready to go. Real quick, I'll just remind you of how the start works. It is an auto start on this bad boy. So we're going to go engines 1 and 4 first. You'll just left click on the starters. Once you've done that, you'll come down here and you can actually put all these to run right now. That's one way of doing it. It is an auto start, so it'll fire right up. And you'll see what I'm talking about here momentarily. If they ever get their butts over here and hook up to the airplane. Do we have the parking brake set? It should be. Yep, sure is. Just waiting on them now. You guys may have noticed I'm trying to be a little quicker.
All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set.
Okay, so they're going to lift the aircraft until it's released the parking brakes. I'm trying to go a little quicker. These are not tutorials. These are more for the entertainment of the flight.
We're cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
So I've always done it 4 and 1 together and then 2 and 3 together. And the checklist that I have says that that's one way to do it. There's other ways to do it too, but this one says 1 and 4 and then 2 and 3 together. You can see they're on auto start here, so bam, we don't have to do anything else. They're going to push us back. The engines are going to start up. We're going to be good to go. Now let me finish what I was trying to say. I'm trying to do things a little bit quicker. The purpose of these flights is not so much tutorial, although I always like to have a little bit of educational aspect to my flights, so I'm always going to be kind of explaining what I'm doing, but I'm trying to get in the habit of going a little bit quicker, make the total video just a little bit shorter, get to the flying and have a good time. So if you see me, it looks like I'm skipping some things. I do a lot of things from memory anyway, and I don't always necessarily explain them when I'm just going through it. Like, I don't explain them to myself when I don't fly on a video. So if you see me just, you know, hitting a couple buttons and not saying anything, that's why. Okay, I'm going to finish the pushback. I'm going to finish the engine start, and I'm going to come back on and we're going to taxi. Alright, engine start is complete. We'll jump up here real quick. Let's get that APU off. We can take the gens off, turn the APU itself off. We're not going to need that anymore. We're going to need, we don't need strobe lights. Wing lights need to come on. We can turn logo lights on right now as well. Taxi lights can go on. Anti-ice is all good. I like it where it's at. It's all on auto right now, so I like auto anti-ice. It makes life easy. Let's jump back down here. I just want to look at the fuel page. Yeah, we're good on fuel. We didn't have anything in the center. Everything's looking good there. Flight controls page does work. Full left. If I can get it there. Full right. And neutral all the way. Yep. All the way down. And neutral. And then rudder full left. The rudder doesn't work quite the same to the right. It bounces around because I need new rudders. There's neutral there. Looking fantastic on that. Jump back over to a proper view here. Let's get the floodlight off. Wrong one. Well, that's the aisle floodlight, right? Dome light is the one I was thinking of. Bring that boy down. Oh, where's the lights on here? Whoops. Let's see. Circuit breakers. Yeah, we don't want that one. I gotta turn the dome light back on. Which one's the light switch down here? Seatbelts can go to auto. It's up top, right? The lights for down here. I need to turn those lights on so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. That's the flood, though. I need this one, I think. I'll bet you that was it right there. My headset's like falling to the floor here. Got to turn the dome light off now, and we'll see if that worked. Okay, flood. Maybe it's this one, and this one's the floodlight. I haven't done the lights in a while in here, and they don't all work properly. Okay, that's good enough. I can see what I'm doing there, so that's going to work for me. I think I set this view here. No, I did not. Okay, Control Shift 1. There we go. That's going to work. Hopefully the track IR works. Little jump here. Oh, that was a massive jump. Center that up. Okay. No problems with track IR. So real quick, right before we pull out here, let's just take a quick look at the taxi brief because we got to do it. So we're going to pull out. We're going to hang a right. Actually, we can't go over here. We got to hang a left. Go this way and get on this outer taxi. We got to get on hotel. because we'll be too close if we stay in here on Juliet. So we'll get out on hotel, we'll take that down, we'll hold short of runway 22. Very simple taxi, right? Don't you like it when things are simple like that? Okay, let's get the parking brake off here. Bam. And you start bringing in the flaps. There's 5. There's 10. And 20. Let's take a look at our after start checklist. APU is off, APU bleed air is off, packs are normal, hydraulic demand pump switch 4 is on auto, engine and wing anti-ice are off while they're on auto. Main display looks good, no warnings, taxi lights are on, flaps are set to 20, pushback is complete, and we're ready to start taxiing. So let's go. What are we waiting for? I know that's what you're saying, right? Let's bring a little thrust in there, get this bad boy moving, and if I can get my little thing started over here. Oh, bam, there we go. Even though we were already moving, it'll work out. So I'm going to record for cinematic at this point, which means I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to break away for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the taxi. I'll give you a nice little cinematic of that with the elevator music. And I'll see you back on here when we're holding short of the runway. Alrighty, folks, we're holding short of the ILS, hold short line here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more taken care of. But that is an immediate turn after takeoff, isn't it? You see that? Look how sharp that turn is right there. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Let's turn traffic on there. Let's get this set back to the right view. If you're zoomed in too far, it just doesn't work right. Track car coming back on. There it is. Taking a look at our before takeoff checklist, parking brake. We're not going to set the parking brake, but I will hold the brakes on as we bring in the throttle. We do need to make sure that the auto throttle is on, which of course it was not. Let's go ahead and get our landing lights on as well. Runway turn off lights, taxi lights can go off, the strobe light can come on, everything else looks fantastic. Alright, so that's it. Let's go. Bring her out on the runway here. It does roll pretty easy. They definitely dealt with some of the issues with the ground friction that they had in like FSX and P3D and stuff like that, so that's nice. Rolling, rolling. We want to get in the air. We want to be flying, not rolling. You just can't taxi this thing really fast. I'm going to tell you right now. You start trying to taxi this airplane really fast and you're just going to run into trouble. So you're better off just taking it nice and slow. Yeah, it takes a little longer. There's this weird texture thing going on. You see like the extra lines and stuff in the texture. I wonder if it's because of the add-on that I put on here, or if it's just one of those texture errors. Kind of hard to say on that one. Go up here a little further and then we'll go a little to the right and then come back over to the left. Kind of like that. Just to give us as much runway as possible, because we already know I just don't trust the 85% on the N1. Swing around here. Try and get her lined up nice and purty without using too much runway. That's actually going to be pretty solid right there. We're just a little left of center. Go ahead and bring her to a nice easy stop. Let's get that thrust up to 65% or so. I don't know. Let it stabilize for a second, and toga. There's the thrust ref coming in. Let it run up a little more because it does go up really slow. Get over 75%, which is right about there. Release the brakes, and away we go. Alright, let's listen for those call-outs, and let's hope we don't have to do a rejected takeoff. There's 80 knots. Coming up on V1. There's V1. We're committed now. There's rotate. Oh, she just started drifting right as I went to rotate. I know it's not good to drop those wings like that. My bad. I shouldn't have done that. Gear coming up. I do what I want. Following that flight director there, that's the plan. Go to flaps 15. Up, up, and away. A little more nose up trim will help us out here. There we go. I'm liking that. Come up a little more. We're going to be making that turn pretty soon here. So again, we're just watching the flight director. Working our trim a little bit. Don't fight with the airplane, there's no reason to. A little more trim up. Wants us to climb a little faster, but we're only going to 4,000, so there's 2,500 there. I'm going to start this turn, and then I'm going to put the autopilot on. Go into the turn. There we go, looking good. Yeah, see, we're already within 1,000 feet. Let's get the autopilot on. Get the aircraft do its thing. Go to flaps 5. Well, there's some clouds. I love the effect of the lights off the clouds. It looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? Alright, coming up on 4,000 feet here. It does have us going up to 260 knots. It is, listen, I know it's 250 below 10,000 feet. You can get permission to go a little faster, believe it or not. So, let's get the flaps all the way up there. We're going to be plenty fast for that. Track hour coming off. Alright, we're going to be cruising at 4,000 feet for a few minutes, and transition altitude is 5,000 feet. So, there's really nothing else to do except go real quick through our after takeoff checklist. The auto brakes are off. The flaps are up, the autopilot is engaged, and we are in LNAV and VNAV managed mode. That takes care of our after takeoff checklist, and that means, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, here we are about 100 nautical miles from top of descent. We're going to take a quick look at our arrival and approach briefings and then get set up for the descent. You can see that I've done a step climb up to flight level 300, cruising along nicely. The arrival brief is pretty straightforward and very simple. Actually, we're not flying really the arrival itself. We're scheduled for the Pummel 1 whiskey. Out here at Pummel, we're supposed to be at or below flight level 250. It will not let me change it. I don't know why. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But then it would have been down to the waypoint out here, which is 35 from CLE, and then down to CLE. However, we're not going to do that, and I'll show you why. We'll take a look here at the approach briefing. So there are actually two charts we need for the approach briefing here. The first one is the transitions. Okay, and these are the transitions for runway 24 right. There are actually a lot of different transition charts. Not sure why they have it set up this way, except it probably has something to do with large amounts of traffic. Excuse me. Just got, like, my throat just like went dry and caught. Large amounts of traffic coming from different directions. This is a way to control it without having to you know, talk to the aircraft constantly, right? So you can just tell them you're going to use the north transition, or whatever this transition would be called. So real quick looking here, our ATIS is 118.655. We're assuming runway 24 right at the moment based on the latest weather that we have available. I will listen to the ATIS again as soon as it becomes, as soon as we're close enough. Barcelona approach 21.155, tower 19.105, and I'm sorry, that's tower for approach, and then tower, I don't know why there's a difference, to be honest with you. Okay, so we are actually going to go from, let me bounce back over here, from Pummel, and rather than come down to CLE, because it's Flight Sim World, we can save a little bit of time. We're going to go straight to BL443, and then we're going to ride this course here at 154 degrees to BL439. Maximum at flight level 80, that's 8,000 feet, obviously. And then we're going to hang a left. We're going to fly all the way up this course here, so BL435, 431, 270. Alright, and then you would have to be in contact with ATC or have a comms failure before turning to final. So that's going to put us on vectors. From there, we'll make the connection to fly around here, and then we're going to use these waypoints as well. So I believe the reason these don't have a course attached to them is because ATC can turn you at any time and say, hey, go ahead and turn to BL423 and then on course for your approach. But we'll fly down these 423, 419, 415, and then down to Tebla, which is where we're going to start the approach, right? That's our initial approach fix. So looking on here, let's do a normal approach briefing now. The ATIS on 118.655, Barcelona approach 19105. We already said that. Tower, we are tower 18.105 in the air, and on the ground we're going to be on the north side, so it's 21.705. Localizer frequency is 109.5 with the final approach course 244 degrees. Glide slope intercept at 6.9 from BCA. Okay, BCA is our localizer, which is 2,300 feet. We'll look at minimums in a minute. Airport is at 14 feet. Runway landing touchdown zone is at 10 feet. Let's see. In our southern sector, 3,300 is our minimum safe altitude. To the north, we do have some mountains up here, so it's 6,500, and then to the north and west, there is some more mountains over here, so 5,600 over here. Missed approach procedure is climb on runway heading to 5 nautical miles from BCN, which is the VOR here, not to be confused with BCA, the localizer. Turn left to intercept the 241 degree radial of BCN, which would be outbound, and climb to 3,000 feet and then as directed. If you have lost comms, we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to have lost comms. Transition altitude 6,000 feet. And you can see here we come in at Tebla at 2,300 feet, glide slope intercept 6.9 from BCA, which is 6.7 from BCN, so we can double up on tracking those and then on in from there. Happy lights on the left hand side. There's your visual or picture, if you will, of your missed approach. And then the weather should be clear, so we should be at Cat 1, which should put us at I forget the difference between C and D. That's the category of aircraft, right? I think so. So for us, I think it's D, which is 236 feet. And runway visual range of 550 meters, which again shouldn't be a problem because the last weather I got, everything was clear. Alright. So you can see now. Now my top of descent did show up sooner on this, so that was nice. We're 68 nautical miles from top of descent. And we are looking for 8,000 feet to start with. Now, just to be clear, it is maximum of 8,000 feet, a minimum of 4,600 for that downwind track, right? That's essentially what that is. It's a downwind track. So it's a maximum of 8,000, minimum of 4,600. When we come around to Tebla, we need to be at 2,300. Now that's already set up in the FMC for the most part, with the exception of Pumal. So if we go to our legs page, Pumal, it doesn't let me change this. That's what I was talking about here. So you should be able to just go slash, and then we're supposed to be at or below 250. So we put a B on there, and bam, just like that. Now I didn't try it without the B. Let's just try that real quick. 250. Yeah, it doesn't let me change that, so it's not going to make any difference anyway. But you can see we got 8,000 at or below for each of these waypoints here. Then there's our vectors and our discontinuity, and then we swing around here and you can see it's 2,300 at or above it at Tebla, and it's 2,300 at final approach fix. Right now we should be able to change that to a hard altitude, right? Slash 2,300. Let's see if it lets us do that. It does. So I want that to be a hard altitude. These other waypoints in between and the vectors don't need an altitude, because the VNAV should automatically assume that once we come off vectors and transition to this turn here, it should start making the descent as needed. So we'll see how that works out. Another way of doing that, just to make sure that the VNAV tracks properly, is you could go right now. We're not going to use the vectors, so we could just remove them or not. Oh, that's because I put it in the wrong spot. You got to actually replace. Okay, seriously. You have to actually replace vectors with it. There you go. And so that should track it. Let's see if that messes with our... Actually, I needed to stay right there. That shouldn't mess with our top of descent. It did. It did. It messed with our top of descent, which is kind of funny. But either way, we're going to take this down to 8,000 to start. Come on down. Because we're going to have plenty of time on that downwind leg to descend further. Honestly, not sure what it's going to do now. I probably shouldn't have messed with that, but I did, so there you have it. So if it doesn't start to descend relatively soon, I mean, we're looking right now, we are 47 nautical miles from BL 443, so we're going to have to start the descent pretty soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on it, and it goes into VNAV speed, and we're going to start our descent. Because we're past Pumal already, and we're supposed to be at or below 25,000 at Pumal. So I'm just starting the descent right now, and we're just going to roll with the punches on that. Last thing I want to do is make sure that my nav radio is set up. ILS 24 right, Zulu 109.50, that is correct. Let's see if we can tune in the ATIS here. 118.655. We might be able to at this point. Switch them up. Nope.
Barcelona Airport information, Whiskey 0300 Zulu. Wind 179er at 15. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 5,100 feet, few clouds at 14,200 feet. Temperature 28. Dew point 10. Altimeter 30.14. ILS Yankee runway 24 left and ILS Yankee runway 24 right in use. Landing and departing runway 24 left and runway 24 right.
Okay, fantastic. Even though it's using the Yankee, we're going to stick with the Zulu on that, which means our approach is going to be fine. So we'll just continue the descent here, and then some point probably after we make that turn towards the initial approach fix, I will come back on and we will continue the video from there. Real quick, our descent and approach checklist, descent preparations, we've already hit top of descent as far as we're concerned, even though it's not really tracking it because, you know, I messed it up. Airport information has been retrieved. Auto brakes, what is our, we got a long runway here, 10,997 feet. So I don't think we need to worry too much about auto brakes. So what I'm going to do is, just to help settle the aircraft, I'm going to go auto brakes 2. Actually, I'm going to go auto brakes 1. That just helps settle it once we touch down on the runway. FMC has been taken care of. We've already started the descent. The approach briefing has been completed. That'll also be part of our initial approach checklist, so we'll come back on in time to do that, and then we'll land the aircraft. Alrighty folks, as you can see, we're making our turn towards the final approach fix here. Got the speed come down a little bit. Let's take a look at our initial approach checklist. The ATIS has been obtained. The approach briefing is accomplished. Decision height and MDA bugs are not set. We need to be at 236 on decision height. So let me zoom this in a little here. We're on radio 236. Or as close as we can get. So we'll do 240. Better to be high than to be low. Landing data is checked and set. We're looking at 152 knots. Flaps 30. Seatbelt selector is on. We can't do the Egss recall. Auto brake selector is set to 1. Wing lights are on. Altimeters, we actually are below 6,000 now, so 3014 is what we're looking for. I missed that. I'm so used to doing it at 18,000 feet that I miss it sometimes. And then flaps as required, which we're bringing in right now. I took semi-manual control of the speed. The auto throttles are still on, but I'm controlling the speed here because it just wasn't slowing down quick enough for me. Actually, it wasn't slowing down at all. It was staying at 240. I was like, nah, we're going to fly this as fast as possible. So here we are. We're actually on our final approach course. A little bit of a crosswind there. That was to be expected. We got flaps 5 out there. Let's go ahead and let's go flaps 10 and bring that speed down a little bit more to 180. And then we'll hold that for just a minute here. We're looking for that glide slope intercept point, and then we'll drop gear and finish configuring the aircraft, because we've got, let's see, from the glide slope intercept, we've got, what, 7 miles, basically, which, we'll probably configure it before we get to that. We'll configure between Tebla, we'll finish configuring the aircraft between Tebla and the glide slope intercept point. So for right now, let's go ahead and activate the localizer. And it did grab it right away, which is what I was anticipating. We're just a little bit below where the VNAV wants us to be. It did finally go on to VNAV path. It took its sweet time doing it, but we got on there eventually, so there's that. And as we're approaching, we're almost to Tebla here, right? Yep, almost to Tebla. Let's do our final approach checklist. Auto flight systems as required. Localizer capture is good. Next will be gear down, so we'll go ahead and we'll configure now. Gear down and flaps to 20. It's still going to be a pretty long approach if you ask me. So, but we're almost on top of Tebla anyway. Speed brake is armed, and then the final approach checklist. Well, there's 2 parts, I guess. Glide slope capture, which we're waiting on. Let's go ahead and let's activate the approach switch. So it'll stay on on localizer, and then you can see GS is in white there. That means the glide slope is armed, is the word I'm looking for. Coming up on 2300 right there, so that's looking good. And so with that diamond there, once it gets centered up right here, it'll go ahead and capture the glide slope. And I will finish the configuration, last 2 flap settings, once we capture glide slope, because we're going to have to slow down another 30-some knots for that, and why fly it that slow? Auto flight system as required, and then we're not going to do an auto land. So that essentially takes care of our landing checklist, or our approach checklist. So now we're just waiting for that glide slope capture, which is another 4 miles. I think I still could have waited before dropping the landing gear and coming down further on the speed, to be honest with you. But that's fine. Coughing in your face there. Sorry about that. 152, that's what we're looking for. Now, I think I asked this in a previous video. I'll ask it again here. I may ask it a few times till I actually see an answer. Is this the speed for approach or the speed for landing? Because I always had this idea in my head. So if that says 152, and you guys have seen this on my videos, then I want to be at, say, 157 for approach. And then, you know, those last 10 feet when I roll the throttles to 0, then I want to, if I can get my brain to work here, as I reduce my throttles to 0, my speed reduces to 152 as I touch down. That's always kind of been the idea I've had in my head. Maybe I'm wrong on that though. So asking you guys, asking for a friend, is that my landing speed or my approach reference? I'm pretty sure it's my approach reference, which would mean that actually I should be at 152 on my final, my short final, and then touching down just a little bit below that. You guys let me know down in the comments there. We're about to intercept the glide slope. Just looking right here, see the diamond right there? Glide slope has been intercepted, or it's active now, and now it's intercepted. And you see we start the descent there. So let's go flaps 25. Let those roll in. Everything's looking good. Just let the aircraft stabilize itself. Let's go ahead and reduce this down to 152 now. And go flaps 30. There we go. And you can see we got so much drag on the aircraft that the speed reduces relatively quickly. I'm going to let the auto throttles do their thing. And let the aircraft just settle, and then we'll take it off the autopilot. We'll hand fly it the rest of the way. It's the easiest way to land an aircraft, is let the autopilot do its thing for a minute, and then just take control when you're ready. And that's what most pilots do in the real world. I like hand flying too, but especially some of these, let's just call it default. Even though we've got the Salty mod, they've done some great things. It can be a little tougher than it might be for flying in the real world. Now, I've never flown a 747 in the real world, of course, but I've flown smaller aircraft in the real world, and I can tell you that I find it much easier to fly in the real world small aircraft than I do flying small aircraft in the sim. Okay, let's get the auto throttles off. Rolling back just a wee bit there. Watch our rate of descent. Just a skosh high, so bring the throttles back is not a bad thing. Coming back onto that glide slope there, you can see we're just a tiny bit above that diamond. That's all right. We're visual at this point anyway. We got a good view of the runway. We're just gonna fly her in. And you notice the wind shifted. It's coming from the other side now. Okay, we're looking good here. Alright, let's listen to the call outs. They are rather quiet, but we'll listen and get what we get.
400.
Back over there.
300. Minimums.
Continue.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh. What was that? What was that warning? That was a little hard. 490 feet per minute. Little bit hard. Not absolutely atrocious, but I just couldn't get it to flare. I do not like the auto brakes on this. Even though I went manual braking, it just came to a complete stop. I don't know what was that warning I got. Come on. It's like it's got the the parking brakes on. It does. Look at that. How'd the parking brakes get turned on? That was what that warning was. I guarantee it. That warning was the parking brakes are on. You're gonna blow out your tires. Oh my goodness. We're gonna go up here and exit to the right. Well, that was interesting. Okay, well, no embarrassment there, right? I have no idea how my parking brakes got on, guys. I gotta be honest with you. Obviously, there's no reason I would turn them on in the air, and usually you get a warning on the aircraft, on the Egss, that says, hey, parking brakes are on, but obviously this is not a study level aircraft here. I think part of my issue was this here. I should have, and I'm talking about the approach itself. My view should be up more like this. So let me turn track IR off for a second. So I should be more like, yeah, see, I changed that view because I was trying to get a better view for landing, but I should be more like right there. That's where we should have been for our view. Let me see if I can get that to be my permanent view now. No. I'll fix that later. That's just... the views, the camera views are just such a pain in the butt. I really wish, like, see, and now it's all messed up. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna taxi in here. You know, it doesn't matter what flight sim it is, guys. It really doesn't. Every flight sim is gonna have issues. And honestly, for me, one of the biggest issues I have with this flight sim is the camera views. I really wish that, oh, what was that camera called? Easy Dock or something like that. There were a couple of them for FSX and P3D that were pretty solid, actually. But either way, better camera program would be fantastic for this flight sim, because you can work with these cameras, but honestly, they are a pain in the butt. And there's an example of that right there, because my view was basically looking down, which is why as I was trying to flare, it didn't really feel like I was flaring. And it's hard to adjust that view in the air, which is what I did. Probably that's my mistake there. But when you adjust those views in the air like that, you don't really have a feel for whether or not you're looking downward. I should have been right about here on my view, and that would have made the landing, I think, a little bit better. So either way, it wasn't absolutely atrocious. It was minus 490 feet per minute, so it was definitely a rough landing, but it wasn't like it was 2,000 feet per minute or something crazy like that. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna taxi the aircraft in here. It's gonna take a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back on and we'll get everything shut down and wrap this flight up. Alrighty, folks, I believe I do have the view issue sorted. We'll see, I suppose, on the next flight, right? That was it was a little bit of a pain, actually. I didn't realize that view was pointed down the way it was, and I customized it in the air, which is not a good option, obviously. Okay, we're obviously parked here on the ramp. Let's jump up top here. We've got the APU running already, so we'll turn that bad boy on, and then we'll jump way down here. Wrong view. We need to be on that view, and we'll turn all 4 engines off. There we go. That's fantastic. Jump over here to a view that's usable, and taking a look at, oh, it's not that one. Let's see, the parking brake is set. We're good with ATC. We're not talking to them, obviously. APU gens are on. APU bleed is on. You can turn the engine bleeds off at this point. So we can turn engine bleeds off. Window heat can go off. Fuel pumps. I'm not sure which one is for the APU, to be honest with you. I don't have a manual on this aircraft, and I don't know where my PMDG manual is, but that's fine. We're going to leave it as is. I forgot to turn strobe lights off. You may have noticed on the cinematic I forgot to turn landing lights off when we got off the runway. But we'll leave logo lights on. Nav lights and beacon lights can stay on because we've got power on the aircraft right now with the APU. And what else we got on here? We're not going to do a complete shutdown. We're not going to cold and dark. So that takes care of our shutdown procedures, and that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not aware, who is it that made GSX? I don't remember. But either way, they're working on one for this sim, which, quite frankly, I'm looking forward to that add-on, because, you know, the pushback toolbar is great for pushbacks, but, I mean, just overall, it's difficult to interact with ground services on this particular aircraft. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing GSX for Flight Sim 2020. We'll see when that comes about. But either way, like I said in the introduction to this flight, for those of you who watched it and for those of you who don't watch the introduction and don't watch the conclusion, you're still not going to know what I'm talking about. This is a mystery series. I'm not telling anybody what the purpose of this series is or what my motivation behind it is. But there are 22. There may, in fact, I was looking at it today, there might be a 23rd flight. I haven't decided yet. But as of right now, I mean a 24th. As of right now, there are 23 different flights for this series. I'm going to do all of them. It has nothing to do with cargo. It has nothing to do with the particular airlines. It is related to the locations, and the flight number and squawk code for each flight is going to be a date, 2-digit month, 2-digit day. Those are the only clues that you're going to get. There goes a fuel truck. Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here from the future once again, and I'm just interrupting the video because if you paid attention in the beginning of this video, you will know that after starting the editing process, I changed my mind about doing the giveaway. So if you want to know what is the contest giveaway, what is the contest, and the rules for the contest, go all the way back to the introduction of the video, take a look there, take a listen there, find out what the rules are, make sure that you meet that criteria, and best of luck to all of you. If you think that I've earned it, do hit the subscription button. I know a lot of channels, they talk about how many viewers they have versus subscribers. Believe it or not, mine's about 50-50. A lot of them are like 85% of their views are from non-subscribers. Mine are about 50, right around 50%. A little more non-subscribers that view than subscribers, and that's understandable. But if you think I've earned it, do hit the subscription button down there. Click on the bell if you'd like to get notifications, because that, of course, helps out the channel as well. That's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Best of luck to you on determining or guessing what the purpose is behind this series. But until next time, as always, keep the starry side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, thank you all, and have an absolutely wonderful day.